You know that feeling when you're standing in the middle of, like, a massive, sprawling transit terminal?
Oh, yeah, the echoing announcements, the squeak of rolling suitcases, I mean, the smell of stale coffee. It's a very specific sensory experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone is in a rush. They're staring up at those glowing departure boards, clutching their bags. And, well, you're surrounded by thousands of people, but you never look at the person sitting next to you at the gate and think, I wonder if they're going to live in this waiting area forever.
Right, because a terminal is built entirely for movement. By definition, I mean, it's a place of transition, not permanence. You're really only there to go somewhere else.
And that feeling of temporary chaotic transition is basically the perfect entry point for today's deep dive. Welcome, by the way.
Glad to be here. We have a lot to cover.
We really do. Today, we're exploring a highly specific, totally fascinating cosmological map of existence. We're looking at a text from 2010. It's titled 8 Ways Through the Mortal World, written by Feng, translated by Treasure, and edited by Cower.
Yeah, and it's quite the read.
It is. And, regardless of your personal beliefs or your spiritual background, this text offers this incredibly structured, almost mechanical framework for understanding human behavior and, well, cosmic consequence.
It's interesting because it treats the universe not as some abstract, unknowable mystery, but as a rigid, highly organized system. It reads almost like an engineering manual for the human soul.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because the core premise here is that our everyday lives, all of human history, everything we see around us, is just a brief layover in a much larger multidimensional transit system.
Right. And to understand how we move through this system, we really have to zoom out first and look at the architecture of the universe as this text presents it.
Give us the white shot.
So the author maps out a reality that consists of 20 parallel worlds existing within a 36-dimensional space.
Just, casually dropping 36 dimensions on us. I mean, my brain struggles with 4. What are we actually talking about when we say 36-dimensional space in this context? Are these like sci-fi wormholes?
Not quite, no. Think of a dimension here not as a magical portal, but as a degree of freedom, or, a parameter of existence.
Okay, like a line versus a square.
Exactly. A one-dimensional line only has length. A two-dimensional plane adds width. A three-dimensional box adds depth. So in this framework, higher dimensions add degrees of freedom regarding time, consciousness, energy frequency, and structural complexity.
Oh, wow. So a 36-dimensional space is just an incredibly complex, multi-layered matrix of reality.
Right. And the text emphasizes that these 20 parallel worlds distributed across those dimensions are perfectly symmetrical. It's a universe of extreme balanced order.
So it's not random chaos at all. There's a very strict blueprint.
Well,
Where do we actually fit into that blueprint?
Well, out of all those worlds and dimensions, our mortal world, the one you and I and the listener are navigating right now, is designated as the XY world, and it exists strictly within three-dimensional space.
So we're essentially living on a flat, limited plane compared to the rest of the cosmic geometry.
We are. And from the perspective of the evolution and reincarnation of all life, this 3D mortal world is positioned at a very specific set of coordinates.
It's like an intersection.
Exactly like an intersection. It sits at the exact crossing point between the high-level spaces and the low-level spaces.
It's quite literally the middle ground. Give me a sense of the neighborhoods above and below us.
Sure. So the high-level spaces include realms of increasing complexity and harmony, places like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, and the Elysium world.
Okay, sounds peaceful. And the low-level ones.
On the flip side, the low-level spaces represent density and suffering. This
Yeah.
includes the inflamed layer, the frozen layer, and the hell world. Our mortal world is the exact midpoint where these two extremes cross.
Which brings us back to that transit terminal feeling. The text uses a very striking real-world analogy for this, right?
It does, yeah.
It compares our mortal world to the Zhengzhou railway station in China. If you picture that, and it's one of the busiest railway hubs in Asia, you picture immense crowds coming and going, back and forth, hustling and bustling every single day.
Exactly. The author points out that apart from the people who actually work at the station, everyone else just scatters. They transfer to buses, trains, airplanes, just running off toward their individual destinations.
Right.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, every single life form moving up the cosmic ladder toward those higher realms or falling down toward the lower ones must pass through this exact midpoint.
There's no way around it.
Nope. It's a mandatory transfer station for the evolution and reincarnation of all life. You literally cannot bypass the mortal world.
I want to push back on that a little bit, though, or at least play devil's advocate,
Yeah.
because it is so easy for us to view our lives here as permanent.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we build houses out of stone, we establish multi-generational dynasties, we pour concrete, we really act like this is the final destination. But the text calls Earth a temporary inn or a temporary stage.
Yeah, those are the exact words.
So how does viewing Earth, not as a home, but merely as a traffic hub, completely change the stakes of our daily actions?
It completely flips the script by removing the illusion of arrival. I mean, if you view Earth as the final destination, your primary goal is simply to accumulate things, secure your territory, and get comfortable.
Right. Buy a nice couch, settle in.
Exactly. But if you accept the premise of this text, that you're just sitting in a transfer station, then getting comfortable is a terrible, counterproductive strategy. Your only real concern should be, what is my next ticket and what train am I getting on?
That is a phenomenal way to put it. You don't want to be the person hanging up expensive curtains and painting the walls in the airport terminal. You're going to miss your flight,
You're just wasting time in a waiting area.
which leads to the obvious next question. If Earth is just this bustling hub, how do you actually catch a train out of here? Because according to this framework, you can't just close your eyes, wish for a better life, and magically teleport to a new destination.
Right, intention means absolutely nothing without the correct physical or spiritual vehicle. The text lays out a very strict rule of physics for this transit hub. You have to board the corresponding mechanism for your destination.
So a mere wish won't change your location if you board the wrong flight.
Exactly. The author gives some very practical, grounded examples to drive this home. He says, to be a doctor, you must enter the way of medical science. Airplanes need runways, ships need waterways, trains need tracks.
The mechanics of movement require a specific, compatible medium. You cannot take a train across the ocean no matter how deeply you believe in the train.
No, the universe does not bend its rules for your enthusiasm.
Translating this to the listener's daily life, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to enter the market and take on financial risk. You can't just sit in the food court of the train station eating a pretzel, wishing for success, and expect to magically arise in a penthouse in Paris.
You'd just be a guy with a pretzel.
Exactly. You have to get on the track that leads to Paris.
Hmm.
So, in terms of spiritual evolution, what are the actual runways or tracks available to us at this station?
According to the text, human consciousness in the mortal world is ultimately routed onto one of 8 specific ways. These aren't abstract philosophies. They're the literal tracks that determine your next destination in the 36-dimensional space.
Let's examine the upward trajectories first, the paths that propel a consciousness into those higher level spaces.
Sure.
If I'm standing at the departure board trying to leave this station and go somewhere better, my modern brain assumes I just need to be a really peaceful, universally kind person. Is there just one generic good person train?
Not at all. The upward paths are incredibly diverse, and they demand completely different things. Take the way of the greatest creator, for example.
Okay, what does that one demand?
Walking this track requires what the text calls holographic order thinking. It involves modeling yourself after nature, having an open heart, and maintaining extreme flexibility.
Holographic order thinking is a fascinating phrase. That implies seeing the whole picture in every small part, like a hologram. Recognizing that the micro and the macro are the same, that you are a fractal of the universe.
That's the exact mechanism at play. When you align your consciousness with the natural fractal order of the universe, when you become flexible and tactful like water, your energetic frequency matches the celestial island's continent.
Oh, wow. So that is your destination.
Yes, you literally vibrate your way into that higher realm.
Okay, aligning with nature and being peaceful makes sense for an upward trajectory. Are all the upward routes that serene?
Far from it. Contrast that natural flexibility with the way of gods. This path requires worshiping distinct gods, but the text specifically describes the mindset required for this path as being bellicose, which means aggressive, warlike, and domineering.
Wait, really?
Yeah. And if you walk this track, your destination is the Asura heaven.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, because that completely challenges modern assumptions about spiritual progression.
How so?
Well, we tend to lump all upward or heavenly paths into this one bucket of peaceful enlightenment. But this text says, no, if you are bellicose, aggressive, and domineering, that's still a specific track, and it leads UP. How does aggression lead to a heaven?
It leads to a very specific type of heaven. The Asura realm In various Eastern cosmological traditions, which this text draws upon, is a domain of powerful competitive demigods or warrior spirits.
Ah, yep.
The logic here is about power and structure. A domineering, warlike consciousness has still evolved past the mundane, petty squabbles of earthly survival. It commands energy. It builds grand structures.
Okay.
So the universe doesn't punish that power. It simply routes it to a dimension built for eternal competition and dominance. You get an upward ticket, but you're boarding a battleship instead of a sailboat.
That makes so much sense. The universe accommodates the frequency. So if the creator path is about embracing nature's form and the God's path is about dominating form, is there a path for people who want to reject form entirely?
There is. That would be the way of Buddha. This track is vastly different again. It pursues non-form. The core requirement here is refining the concept of having no abode for the mind and returning to the nature of Tathagata.
Let's break down Tathagata real quick. For anyone unfamiliar with Buddhist terminology, that usually refers to the ultimate, unconditioned nature of reality. Pure truth, completely free from earthly illusions.
Exactly. It's the state of pure emptiness and infinite potential. No abode for the mind means your consciousness isn't clinging to anything.
So no attachments at all.
Right. You aren't attached to the aggressive dominance of the gods or even the natural flexibility of the creator. You cultivate total detachment, and because your consciousness is no longer anchored by any earthly weight, you rise to the Elysium world.
Okay, so we have nature, we have dominance, and we have pure detachment. What is the fourth upward track?
The way of celestial beings. This one prioritizes skepticism, non-dogma, and freedom above all else. And its core practice is the cultivation of magical powers.
Magical powers.
Yeah, and the destination is the celestial beings world.
Magic and skepticism seem like an odd pairing. Usually, we associate magic with deep, blind belief. Why does a skeptical mind lead to magical powers in this framework?
Because dogma locks your reality into place. If you rigidly believe the mortal world's rules are absolute, you're bound by them. Skepticism, in this context, means questioning the hard limits of the 3D world.
Oh, I get it, like seeing through the code of the Matrix.
Basically, when you refuse to accept the dogmatic rules of the simulation, your mind is freed to bend those rules, which manifests as magical powers. You're essentially hacking the 3D code, and that frequency routes you to a realm of ultimate freedom.
I love the stark contrast here. You can't cultivate magical powers by being skeptical and simultaneously expect to end up in the Elysian world of pure detachment. They're completely different runways.
Exactly.
But of course, the cosmic transit system doesn't only have departures heading up. Some people never leave the station.
The architecture of the universe accommodates all frequencies, including those that tether you to the ground. That brings us to the earthly and downward paths.
Where do we start with those?
The way of humans is the track for those who pursue fame and material wealth. It involves attaching great importance to family love, emotions, and being fond of earthly organization and legacy.
I want to pause here and speak directly to the listener. Think about your daily routine right now. If your primary focus is on your family, your career, organizing your life, getting a promotion, building a legacy for your kids.
Which is most of us, honestly.
Right. According to this framework, you are on the way of humans. You are just buying a round-trip ticket back to this exact station.
Yep. You're dedicating all your energetic frequency to the mortal realm. So, logically, when this life ends, your frequency just pulls you right back into another human body to continue the loop. You continue your samsara.
We often think of loving our family and building a career as these ultimate moral triumphs. But this text strips the judgment away. It just points out causality. Those are earthly attachments. If you bind yourself to the earth, the train drops you right back on Earth.
Exactly. It's just physics.
But let's look at the descent. If humans are just looking in the station, who is on the track heading into the basement?
A subtle but crucial descent happens on the way of animals. This path takes sheer survival as its first priority. We're talking about food, clothing, shelter, transportation, health, and avoiding death.
Okay, basic needs.
Yes. And the text claims the core value of this path is the acquisition of money. The destination here is a descent into the animal world.
Wait, I would have assumed that an obsession with money would just fall under human greed, keeping you on the human track. Why does an obsession with money turn you into an animal?
The distinction lies in what money represents on this specific path. For someone on the animal track, money isn't about building a legacy or earthly power, which are human traits.
Then what is it?
Money is simply the modern tool for base survival. It's how you secure food, shelter, and avoid predators. That is the exact baseline consciousness of an animal in the wild.
Oh, wow.
When a human reduces their entire multidimensional potential to nothing but biological survival mediated through cash, their consciousness literally downshifts to align with the animal world.
That is a chilling perspective. A Wall Street banker obsessed purely with hoarding cash for security might think they are the apex of human achievement, but energetically, they are operating on the exact same frequency as a squirrel hoarding nuts for the winter.
That's spot on. The universe doesn't read your bank statement, it reads your frequency.
Wow, okay, so if pure survival sends you to the animal world, what tracks go straight down into the darkest places?
The seventh path is the way of ghosts. This path is defined by secrecy and deception. It's for someone who breaks rules and laws, who lurks and sneaks around.
People who hide in the shadows.
Right. They speak one way but think and act another. They're fond of hiding and good at lying. The destination for this track is the hell world.
The causality there is deeply poetic. It's a path defined by a lack of transparency. If you choose to exist entirely in the shadows, hiding from the light of truth, cosmic gravity simply pulls you down into the permanent dark.
The environment matches the behavior perfectly.
And there's one more, right?
Yes, finally, the eighth path, the way of Satan. This path is characterized by dwelling on fortunes and disasters. It involves being intensely ambitious, arrogant, and blaspheming the natural order.
That sounds intense.
It is. Crucially, in order to achieve their goals, people on this path will plunge lives into misery and destroy nature, by hook or by crook.
So it's the arrogant destruction of life and the environment for your own selfish gain.
Exactly. Because they actively destroy the structure of the universe violently corrects them. Their destination is a massive fall into either the inflamed layer or the frozen layer, the absolute lowest, most punishing realms of density in the 36 dimensions.
Looking at these incredibly diverse destinations, from the celestial islands all the way down to the frozen layer, it begs a massive logistical question.
What's that?
If this mortal world is a busy train station and 8 billion people are running around buying different tickets, who is checking the tickets? Is there some cosmic judge standing at the gate, stamping our passports?
What's fascinating here is that the sorting mechanism doesn't require a judge, a bouncer, or a ticket inspector. The text explains the underlying mechanism as, like, attracts like, or birds of a feather flock together.
So it's automatic.
Completely. It is the automated arrangement of the Tao. The path you take is entirely dictated by what the author calls your life structure.
We need to define life structure because that sounds like the key to the whole system.
Think of your life structure as the non-physical algorithm of your consciousness. It's the sum total of your thoughts, actions, and beliefs.
Okay.
Returning to our transit hub analogy, your life structure is the literal magnetic strip on your ticket. You don't need someone to read it and point you to a train. The frequency of your magnetic strip automatically pulls you toward the gate that matches your vibration.
So if I spend my life cultivating magical powers and skepticism, my magnetic strip pulls me to the celestial beings train. If I spend my life lying and hiding, the magnetism drags me down to the ghost train.
Exactly. This raises an important question about justice and consequence. The text describes this automated cosmic program by saying, divine punishments are slow but sure.
Meaning, everyone ends up exactly where they belong.
Every single person is sorted perfectly. You end up exactly where your internal state dictates. The system is functioning flawlessly without any need for micromanagement.
So what does this all mean for us? The author notes that while every person takes one of these ways, most people are led along ignorantly and uncaringly. Only a small number choose their path clearly and plainly. Are we really just sleepwalking onto these trains?
The text suggests that the vast majority of humanity is entirely unaware that they're even inside a transit station. They're just wandering on to whatever train is parked right in front of them, driven by base instincts, biological impulses, or just going with the flow of society.
Just doing what everyone else is doing.
Right. If everyone in your social circle is boarding the human train or the animal train, you just follow the crowd. You never look at the departure board.
You never ask where the track actually leads.
Exactly. The author's goal in mapping out these 36 dimensions and 8 paths is to offer a moment of profound clarity. He wants to jolt you awake in the terminal so you can actually look up at the board and make a conscious choice about your own life structure.
That's a powerful wake-up call.
It is. In fact, at the very end of the text, he extends a direct, almost casual invitation to the reader. He says you should consider using this framework as a reference.
Take it or leave it.
Pretty much. If you discard it as groundless nonsense, he says you can just throw it away. You can even scold him for it. But if you feel it has merit, then you should consider it carefully because understanding the map might actually benefit your trajectory.
I love that. It is a remarkably confident, non-dogmatic way to end a cosmological treatise.
Wow.
Here is the blueprint of the universe. Use it to catch a better train or yell at me and stay in the station. Your call.
It leaves the power entirely in your hands.
Well, let's take a breath and recap this incredible map we've just explored. We started by zooming out to view a perfectly symmetrical universe of 36 dimensions and 20 parallel worlds.
Right. And we pinpointed our own 3D mortal world as the vital, chaotic intersection between the highest heavens and the lowest depths. A literal cosmic railway station that every soul must pass through.
And we broke down the diverse tracks that our daily consciousness physically pulls us toward. We explored how the natural flexibility of holographic thinking lifts you to the celestial islands.
Oh, how pure survival instinct drags you into the animal world.
Exactly. And how the pursuit of earthly legacy loops you right back to the very station you started in. It fundamentally forces you to reevaluate what you are doing with your time here.
It really does.
Earlier in the text, the author mentions that this mortal world is like a temporary stage, where each team performs its own show to the maximum. Which leaves us with this final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. If Earth is just a bustling train station and a temporary stage, are the actions you take every single day just a performance designed to impress the other stranded passengers in the terminal? Or are you actively rehearsing for the exact destination you want to reach?
That's a great question.
Next time you make a major life choice, whether it's about your career, your family, or how you treat the natural world, take a look around the station and ask yourself, who is your audience and what ticket are you actually buying?